This is iGaming Accent with Vakho, and I'm your host today. You can listen to our podcast on any platform that you are listening to, and you can subscribe to it and not miss any future episodes and stories. Today, I'm joined by one and only Miranda, who is in one of my favorite companies in iGaming, that is Smartsoft. Smartsoft has shown an absolutely great growth over the years, and I've seen them from the very small company, how they transformed into the big one. And today I'm joined by her to discuss her personal stories and also some really transformation things that they are doing in order to go beyond the horizons and grow around the world. So Miranda, welcome.
Hello, Vakho, and thank you for having me into this kind of really interesting journey with you, with this podcast and everything.
So this is your first time on the podcast.
Exactly.
So I think that this will be the eye-opening for you, because in future you will be asking around which is the next podcast I want to visit. So I think that I've known you for quite a while, and I've known you when you were starting up in the industry, but I still remember that when we first met and we discussed how you entered the industry and what was your first impressions, and that is always my favorite go-to icebreaker storytelling, to just ask around how the hell did you get to the industry. So I would love to hear that from you as well. So what was the story there? How did you get into the industry, and how did you manage to get into the Smartsoft as well?
So it's been a long journey for me joining this industry, and I think I joined the industry when there was really booming period of COVID, and you can imagine selling the games which are totally new for the industry. We know the industry is known for the sport, for the slots, but the crash games, by the time that I joined the company and the industry, was a new thing, almost like a funny topic from the operator side and perspective. And COVID came suddenly, and we just started to sell the product within the online. I remember my first exhibition was a digital exhibition, totally messed up, because you cannot do that, right? We are in the industry where face meetings and talks with this kind of emotions matters. And that was a really interesting beginning of this interesting journey for me. I started with that, and then for sure we just fighted this COVID. We did all the vaccines and everything, and we start traveling again. And I think one of the biggest exhibitions for us could be starting with the Malta. And the biggest, I'm telling, compared to right now, how the exhibitions are in terms of size and how they grow is not not comparable, because it was super small. But I think this is the first time when we started to show off on the land perspective, not the digital.
Okay, so what was the idea behind you joining these industries? Have you heard something, any type of myth before joining? Because I always hear that this industry is really fast growing, and so on and so on. And for the people that I'm telling that getting into the industry and growing, just working here for 1, 2, or 3 years will boost your career path 10 times and 30 times. So what was the expectation, and what was the reality after getting into it?
Yeah. To be honest, you don't have, I think once you're the outsider from the industry, you don't have much of expectations, because you have kind of stereotypes about the industry. You know that there are casinos, and you have this kind of imagination about it, and you don't know much about in details once you are new. But when I started to deep dive into the details, I got my expectations really high, because I saw that this industry, especially the commercial team and the commercial department, and especially when I started, it was a marketing team. But we've been serving almost everything at once, because it was a super small team, 3 of us in the team. We've been doing everything. And once you are starting with the small company that is doing everything at once, starting from, let's say, compliance or legal things, continuing with the marketing perspectives, you learn a lot, and you have a possibility to take a consideration on every department, because I would say the commercial department is really cross-functional within a lot of departments. So it gives you a chance to see the industry with all kinds of perspectives. So as I told you, I set my expectations really high. I started to learn a lot of things. For example, when we started like selling really aggressively because we believe in the product. We've been promising our partners that we will have like a Maltese license really soon, but we know nothing about the Maltese license, and it took like 2 years or 1 year of waiting time and accomplishing all the like compliance side. So about the industry, once you put your nose there, you know that this is really dynamic industry. Nothing is assured, and you need to be, let's say, follow up with the trends because those trends are really changing and you need to keep up with. And starting with the crush game, which was almost like a new trend, that was really exciting, even from the first steps.
The crash game for last 5 years has I think that one of the big revolutions that happened in this industry was crash games and what revolution it brought to the industry. And I've been watching the growth of different companies, and one of the best ones which you are representing right now. But I've seen that this industry is changing too fast. So everybody is doing everything. And like last time I was on the industry event, like every stand had their own crash game. Like, I don't know. There was like, what is happening? Like my first question was like, this was not happening last year or previous year. And I think that crash game market, like evolution is like really, really big. And I think that this comes down to what is next for that and how you see it. Because like I've seen that you are dominating this market, right? So you are competing with them. There is a big competition on different markets, different geos. But what are you seeing from the company's perspective? What are the challenges right now? How the market is evolving in like near future or in big future?
Yeah, to just make like little reflection of the past as well until we will move on my future vision. I would say that even like 5 years ago when we started, for example, to aggressively go with the worldwide market, that was the same concept, because let's say everything is changing really fast, especially in this industry, and you need to keep up with trends. I'm repeating these words. And that was the same concept with the crash games. It was funny, no one believed it at the first place, but then we know that like generations that are, let's say, entertaining on your websites are changing. The concept of playing is changing, so the future continues like that. The first place, no one believed it, because we asked, for example, like a separated category of those kind of games, because it was not like a slot, it was not like any other category that was existing by that time. So we asked for like a separated section, separated category of those kind of games, and it was a one game when we started, and no one, let's say, give you much of a energy or the resources to create something that requires a lot of change in the development, and it continues like that. We will keep up with innovations. We will keep up with something that is crazy at first to believe in. But, you know, this is the like era where the TikTok is dominating almost every area of the trends, right? And they like Telegram games, for example, or Telegram casinos. We are currently, let's say, operating really interesting era. And I would say our company, not mission directly, not that bold, but we always look for like innovative ways to create the games. And I would say easily that crash games, even though now the company started to recognize this product as a mass product, because you will see all the major crypto operators, they have their original games that are crash games, because it's simple. It's have really good cross-sell with the sports. It has really good cross-sale once you're waiting, and you can easily play like 5 seconds or 1 minute if you have extra like money out there in your wallet. So future calls out for it, like younger generations, innovative games, and direction of, let's say, mini games, because no one have time for like a long journey. And I think the entertainment kind of changed into that direction, which is like quick stuff like scrolling the TikTok or something like that.
Yeah, next generation is coming with a attention span of 1 second, I think, and that is like I've been affected by that as well, to be honest. Like for me, like minding of my own business and scrolling down a few minutes can be transferred into more, but we've seen like how video content is growing, how like short videos are going in every, let's say, biggest platforms are adding that, because like our attention span is going down and down. And I think that is one of the things where these type of mini games are standing out, because while waiting on a second screen, you can play really easily and really experience like a short-term gains there. So this really hits a right spot for new generation, because they don't really want to get involved into the old schools, even slots, because we know that slots are fast, but sometimes they are just boring because they are like an old one. But yeah, sometimes they innovate really well as well. And my thing is that you as a company are developing like into the many categories as well. We just mentioned the slots, so you have lots of new games as well. I've tried some of them, like Helicopter X and Smash X, if I remember it correctly. And you also have like balloons and many other stuff. So is there a strategy there, like to grow on vertical side, or just to double down on one, not to double down on category? So what's the approach there? So I've been really interested into that part as well, because I've known that Smartsoft is like a crash game provider, and then I look into it, like go one step forward, and I see that there are many games, and there are some of the unique, let's say, mechanics in those games as well, like bonus buy, like mystery reels, and so on and so on. So what's the story there?
For sure, like Smartsoft's, I would say Smartsoft's highlight right now is on the crash games direction, because we are really good at it. We know exactly how to do those games. We know the mechanic, we know the mathematic, because we refine everything and we learned during like 7 years, 10 years of doing that. So we know exactly how to do the crash games, and we are using that as a power. And if you, as you mentioned, all the games like Helicopter or Smash X or even Foot has the same, let's say, the vertical, but we're using different kind of concepts, because as I told you, those games have really good cross-sell with the sports, and not only sports, where like small games are active, where there is a big amount of the population. So we are concentrating on the mini games, but the concept, for example, is to use those games as a really good acquisition tools during, for example, big football events such as Copa or such as like FIFA or any of these kind of events. And same applies. For example, we have Football Leagues, which the concept is like a football. We have Cricket Leagues with the concept of cricket. We have Smash X, as you mentioned, which is like a box. And we are using this strategy. We are trying to make a lot of versions of those kind of games that we have with a slight like changes in the mechanics. And we are trying so hard to localize those. We are trying to answer what local market needs. For example, we know Latin America could not survive without football. So we are serving that. And we know that some markets are that cricket is really popular, and we are trying to provide that. And we're trying to be really local about it.
Okay, so I think that you are opening up the good topic for the discussion, because competing in the markets that are without borders, so let's say like that, because I believe that crash game has no borders, because everybody can play, because it's easy to get into, easy to experience, easy to love it. So you mentioned that you are doing something for, let's say, cricket, that is mostly covered in Indian market. You are doing something for football, like you mentioned Copa, and you mentioned like Latam market, which is like a big boom right now. So I really want to dive into that. So how do you localize? So what you do in order to localize beside the games and beside the translations and so on, like beside the, let's say, basic stuff, how do you make your company localized? How do you connect on emotional level with those that markets that you want to enter, or you are already there, let's say like that?
Even though like we believe in the localization, I need to bring this example because it's crazy how the industry is changing and how it's has like its own reactions. For example, like if we take a look into the PG Soft, which is really booming right now in Brazil, and if you take a look into the slots that they are providing, they're all kind of thematic is Asian, totally Asian. The designs, everything is like related to the Asia, but we know that the Brazil is crazy about the PGSoft. So the same continues because this is like a little bit a crazy side, because we are saying that the localization really matters, but suddenly they took a like really good campaign, marketing campaign, and all these PGSoft slots are really demanding in Brazilian market. So we would say that at some point those borders are erasing at some level, but we are here again. Like we took this kind of thing until PG was there. For example, there is a game that we have, which is Mine Island, and there is a kangaroo on this end of Rio de Janeiro. And people might think that what is kangaroo is doing over there, but it's not exactly that matters, that you need to be, let's say, stereotypical. You don't need to use exact things that they have in their culture, but you need to have really, let's say, respectable approach, which in our case is that we are asking our partners that what could be the thing that you will be interested in, because we know that our partners know much about their culture that they're coming from, and we're trying to follow this way. Once we create something, like something is that really local, even the cricket, even the game that we are using their characteristics, we are asking their opinion about it as well. And if they say that there is something that is really inappropriate or will do really well, we will for sure improve that direction. So this is the approach that we have, to respect their culture, know about their culture, but not use every stereotypical thing that they have in there. So that's, I think, like a little line that we are slowly following.
I think that what you're saying is really crucial, because I've seen that some of the companies are overusing the stereotypes for the different countries and different continents as well. And I've seen how they derailed their whole company or had really bad feedback from the customers, end users, let's say, like not the clients, but the end users. And I think there is a fine line between using the cultural thing in a way that it's appropriate and using it that it is inappropriate. And I think where you are fixing that and what you are using in order to not to miss that point is that client's feedback itself, because like clients will be more than eager to tell you what they feel or what they think will work out. So that is really, really good thing and really crucial thing to like follow up. So this is really, really nice. And I think that my personally, like, you know that I'm managing a startup and I'm startup founder, and I'm still in those years when you joined up the Smartsoft. So I think that what I really, really want to learn from and share with the industry as well is that how the hell is it in our industry? Why is this happening? So I will try to explain this right now, is that we are going around the world, right? So exhibitions are there. I've seen the same people on the different exhibitions, but let's ignore that. So you are meeting lots of people. You are getting into like lots of conversations. You are shaking lots of hands, and you are going into many, like, let's say, stages of how to connect to the different levels with the prospecting and with the clients. But why is this industry moving so slowly? Can you please explain? You've been in that same boat, and why is this happening right now?
Let's say like this is, I would say, like the moving so slow but moving so fast as well, because I think this is the one of the controversies about this industry that makes me this kind of passionate about the industry, that you need to catch up with, but you need to also like little to make a little observation about the industry, how slow it's going. Uh, and I think the main reason is that one of the major, like, let's say, establishments of the companies that serve and start the industry itself is really old and is really huge. And that's why, and there is a lot of bureaucracy in that kind of, like, for example, who is making the weather in this industry? The giants, right? Like, they are one of the, let's say, the changers. They change everything. What they want, it's like a really demanding, and they have a power to demand. So, and there it comes, like the thing that I love about these startups, which is flexibility. And once they have this kind of approach, and they are really slow because they're huge and there is a lot of steps that you need to fulfill, there comes like my favorite part part of the startups. You have a lot of flexibility, and to jump there and to follow their speed, and not to follow their speed, but change their waves into yours is really important, because you need to suggest them what they don't have, which is like a flexibility at some levels, and you need to be really customizable for them, because they are right, they have demand and they have this power of decision making, and you need to be flexible at some point once you're a startup and once you have this flexibility and this opportunity to do that. Until you are a big company, you need to do that, because in this case most of the people will feel relieved, because they don't have much of a resources. There is a lot of things on the plate, which is, for example, one of the reasons why it's moving really slow is that one day the regulation will change. One day this law will be totally different. And you can imagine how many things the operators or the aggregators need to survive in order to stay compliant, in order to follow up this kind of really tough competition that is on the market. Can you imagine how much money they're investing with the football teams, with the sponsorships? The competition is really high. And we're here small companies that are pushing to use a new products, like the innovative products, and they need to take care of all these existing big, let's say, big companies that they have, like organizations that they have. So you need to be really flexible in that direction, and also to really listen about what they want currently. And if you have that kind of motivation that you need to be on the market, then you need to serve what they want, if we say so.
Yeah, totally following that. So being flexible, customizable, and really doing what they want, and also relieving their stress regarding all the stuff that is upcoming, and being like the go-to, let's say, company in order to fix everything what will be upcoming obstacles is really good way to go. But at the same time, how are you finding ways to approach the big guys? So in the big companies, you know that there are too many decision makers and too many people are running. I've been on the meetings that there are 18 people listening to me pitching the gamification software, and I'm like guys, only 3 people will use this. Why are you why is a retail guy doing, what is he doing here? Or why is the compliance guy here? I really don't understand that type of approaches, but when something new is happening, there are lots of interest from different departments as well. How do you find the ways to connect to the main decision maker? So what is the secret sauce that you are using there?
Yeah, I think the secret sauce could be to have a patience, because in this kind of companies, there is a really huge, let's don't call a bureaucracy, but they have this kind of structure in their organization that you need to talk with a lot of people in order to go finally to the decision maker that really decides rather either having this product or not. But in our case, our motivation was really high, that even though they, for example, they go with, let's talk with this customer manager, or let's go talk with this, the product manager that doesn't even manage your kind of products.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk with this, the operational manager, and let's talk with this procurement manager. And the question was always there, why to talk with the irrelevant people, why you need to do this, but the motivation was always there. Let's give them the information about our company, because not much of our people know about it. So as motivation was there on the table, we've been talking with any kind of role in the company, because we believe that this role may be affected, may believe in the product, and they will go and speak with the decision maker that this is really exciting product. Because in our industry, I think everyone is really involved from the company. For example, even from our side, we have this agile the structure that everyone, not from only commercial team, but product team, tech team is involved to create something fun, one product, the game, for example. So we believe in this kind of direction, and we talked with everyone that they refer or they introduce to talk. And finally, with this kind of, let's call it patience, which we don't have, to be honest, with this kind of approach to speaking with everyone, to knowing everyone in the company, even the legals, to give them this kind of information really matters, because this is how you will survive, because from the beginning, your product is, let's say, irrelevant. It's not known. So the first thought is that you need to give them a lesson. You need to give them information about this, why it matters, and to speak with everyone. Even with, for example, there are a lot of payments approaching when we have a stand on the exhibition and we are explaining that we are B2B company. We don't use the payments, but we still speak with them. We still speak with them what we are doing, what we are producing, because the information is really huge. Even the industry is small and there are like few like people that you can know in 2 years, for example. You need to speak about it, and also other people need to speak about you. And for that, you need to spread the awareness. Because when you're starting, you don't have much of a marketing budget. You don't have like a big stand. So one thing that stays as a power is your tongue, in this case, to speak a lot.
Okay, I'll take this into the consideration, and on next exhibition, I think I'm going to SBC Lisbon this year. I will be running around and talking with everybody just for the fun case, like, because what I've learned from this is that somebody might be in a room where there is a discussion of what to do next, and even though that person is not responsible for doing something like in that direction, in our case, our product, they might mention it in the room. And that room might be the one that decides what to do next. So this is pretty like a good approach. So planting many seeds into many people, and some of them will grow up and some of them will come back to you like big time. So that's pretty good thing to learn. And also, you mentioned big stands, right? So I've been watching that stands getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. So what's happening there? I've seen I think that one of the most exciting was when you made a dome. You remember, I don't remember, it was probably SBC Portugal, if I remember it correctly, and there was like a dome like inside, and it was like I was just coming there to watch and drink something like after the show because I know your people, but yeah, that was so exciting because when I entered, it was on the entrance side and I saw this. I first thought, is this really Smartsoft? Because like, have they grown this much to have this cool of the thing? Because I've seen it's getting every like conference that I'm going, your stand really stands out, and I've seen that playing like going to the different places, different countries, but that was like for me like a little bit of too much wow, what's happening here? Like I was just sitting around because that was the year where the dome in Las Vegas was really popular and that was the starting. So tell me a little bit about the exhibitions and how do you approach that, and also what was the idea behind that to stand out this much?
For me, it's like 5 years in a company, and you can imagine how proud I am because we started. I remember we just had a wall and the couch, the sofa, little sofa on this kind of wall, and we'll just say that we've been like a Smartsoft gaming with some kind of games, and that was it. We didn't have anything. We've been like showing the games on our mobiles like that. We didn't even have like a demo stations.
I can relate to that too much because like my first, like from the startup perspective, my first conference was SBC Portugal, and we were taking our personal phones to showcase what type of gamification we had, like personal phones, personal iPads, and everything was personal. So yeah, like when you're starting up, that is like a story that you have to go through. It's
amazing. It's amazing how we started from that direction, and then we started to acknowledge that this is really important, especially in this kind of big exhibitions. And because, as you said from the beginning of this podcast, that there are a lot of companies, right? There are a lot of companies on the exhibitions that you will see that start doing the crash games, for example, or any new game There are a lot that even more that you cannot expect it to be. So everyone started to doing like this kind of business because why not? Yeah. So you need to be really different, and you need to show that what I am speaking with the operators face to face regarding like consistency, regarding all this kind of like longevity with these partnerships, because we are always looking for like a long run partnerships rather than like a quick movements and then finish, because That's how we believe in the partnership. So in this kind of direction, we slowly see that this kind of stance is really important to have. To be not just to show muscles that you have this capability to be on the industry, but also
I've seen some companies showing too much muscle on
Yes.
too many conferences. Yeah.
I can agree on that as well. But what matters is that to show your identity with this kind of stance, not just the muscles, which is, you mentioned Dom, right? Which was totally new from the Vegas that they launched, and it was amazing. So we are saying that we are innovative company, so we need to show this on this stance as well, because this is like a 3 days of networking and 3 days of realization who are the companies and what they are doing. So we're always trying to express what we believe, not just like a muscles and a big investment that will go away in 3 days, but to show the innovation and to show them that we really grow when I'm telling them in the arguments and show them like their competitors that they have our products. You need to show them that stand also replies to that. Stand is so like a really good impression of what company is doing this year. If it's a bold and if it's innovative, you know that there is something like something inside there. This is our case, but I know for other companies that are doing just too much because they're huge and they don't care, but we care about it. This is like our home, like our office for 3 days, and we believe that people need to see what we are actually doing when we are not on the exhibition. And I'm so happy if we are showing that we are highlighting the innovation, even with the stands.
So highlighting the innovation and showing the characteristics of the company itself on the events, that's such a great thing to do. Like, because we are coming from the country that is not like too much known around the world. I think that Smartsoft itself have done an amazing job regarding that. Even though they are localizing, even though they are approaching different markets, they also have, me personally, have seen how they consistently are proud of being from this country and making the moves there and making it always like seen around. And because it gives us small companies from this country more credibility, because there are few already in the industry that are doing great stuff. But at the same time, I know that you've done amazing job with the partners and with making it so that they understand our characteristics and understand our culture. I'm trying to impel that Partners Club was one of the best things that you have introduced in late years, because I've seen how they enjoy it personally, how they have experienced our traditional things, and the idea behind it is very interesting for me and would love to hear about that. How was that? Like, who thought about it? Why was it there? Why did you put it on the table? I know that we are really approaching our clients, like sometimes going traveling there, sometimes they are coming here, but this type of approach, like huge amount of like partners coming together and learning about our cultures and taking some piece back home, I think that was amazing. So
Yeah.
would love to hear the story behind it. How you, and I think you have like most approach with the clients, right? So you are in commercial, so they are talking with you. So what was the story there, and what was the amazing part of that behind that?
Yeah, that I think that's my like about this industry or about this department and the company is the most precious thing, because my background is also coming from the hospitality. So, and for especially for Georgians. So, and talking about the localization, talking about this individualism on the market, we believe that localization is like a two-sided, not just one-sided. To know about their culture and everything, they need to know about us as well. They need to know and make the validation that the things that we are doing this way, we are doing it because we are Georgians. We have like a really different kind of approach. We have different kind of temper compared to other countries or other cultures. So we really like heavily started to show our culture and why we are like that. And they always like wants to bring few really individual people in country, just showing our office, showing everything and tell them that this is our like a tradition. They got, all of them, they got the realization, okay, that's why you act like this, because you need the validation and you need this cultural validation, how you are doing things. Because there is a business ethic, that's okay. There is a industry rules, that's okay. But there is a rules of like a cultural background. So once we saw this kind of impression to them, because, you know, we are Georgians, we can like, we started to drink with them really heavily. And at the end of the day, it's just not like all about the drinks or about the business. We just became the friends because we're traveling most of our times in the industry. We are meeting them sometimes even like 3 times or even more in a 1 month. So they are starting to become our friends. And you can, you know, George, you are Georgian and you
I'm
know
Georgian,
like
so
how we appreciate these kind of things, that for us like a friendships matters the most sometimes rather than maybe family or something like this, right? And once we saw that this was a like really good point, we decided to let's make huge variation of that. Let's make all these individuals that we are calling our friends and they are calling the friends, let's bring them together and let's be friends with each other as well. Because again, I think this is like a really Georgian thing. So we decided to establish Partners Club. We launched it last year. We bring like the industry people, one of the leaders, amazing people in Georgia that we are calling our friends, that we love, that we always like spend time together during these exhibitions, and for sure are our partners in terms of the business. And we show them all these wine regions that we are always speaking when we are talking about the business as well. We show them our main core, which is individualism, I would say. Our company core, like a really individual approach with each other, because we show them what we really like really care of, what are our daily thoughts, how we deal with it. And it was amazing because it feels like a really close community with the main ties is that relationship first and then partnership, which for sure that we are continuing in this direction. And for sure we are taking even much more scale this kind of partner club, because you know that we are sponsoring AFA, the Argentine national team. And
by the way, that is something that I had it as a dessert because I see the T-shirt behind it, and I would love. You know, this podcast is evolving as well. So last time we didn't have a microphone. Now we have a microphone. But you know what would be really, really good? Because like, look at this wall. It's now empty, right? So something there would be really, really appreciated. I don't know what, but I see it in white/blue colors, and it might be a T-shirt. It might be a jersey, yeah. But yeah, so I'm not that picky, to be honest. So let's leave it like to the company's imagination and your imagination, what might be there. But yeah, so Partners Club, and I think that what you mentioned there like really clicked for me. Relationship is not one-sided. Localization is not one-sided. So there are at least two people involved. Not two people, but let's say two sides involved. So only one side knowing about the other is not that relevant. But when the both sides know about each other, both sides know about the approaches, and both sides understand each other, this is really transformational because we know how we do the things and also they know how they do the things. And when we both know, it really transforms into something really, really good. Okay, and about APA sponsorship, how does that help in regards of the Partners Club? So what is there also? Can you little bit elaborate on that? And also, how did this became? And I was so proud when I saw that news. Like I was like cheering myself up because like Georgian company became the sponsor of but like it was like too big. Like my previous experiences from marketing, I've been sponsored for many teams, many individual players, and many fighters, and so on and so on. And so I know what stands behind such a big sponsorship and what is involved there, because there are too many things to cover up. There is a legal side, how they will be using this, how are the rights, what will be used where, is it only digital, is it only offline? So there is too many things involved. But you managed to do that, and how did it go, and how well is it right now?
Yeah, so the concept that I mentioned was like the sponsoring the AFA was the partnership again, like this partner club, and it continues this way. Yeah, we know that football is like a really big with the bonding people to each other, especially in this industry, right? The football is huge. It's like the emotion that unites people together. So why we decided to pick the champions to have the opportunity to respect this like football passion and to like give really exclusive opportunity to our partners and to unite both of them. For example, during this the championship, not only we are like, but we also have like a chances to bring the legends of the football, and to not only us having these legends, but share with the people that actually respect those legends in the industry. And I'm talking about like a footballer legends, not just like not just only footballers. For example, we had a dinner with Jose Mourinho. He's a really funny guy, right? And so our partners enjoyed it as well. We had
He would
like,
be a great tamada, right? I know tamada is a Georgian thing,
yes,
the one who says the toast, but
Postmaster, yeah.
Hostmaster,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm always trying to explain that like Hostmaster is really, really good to explain and really
Yeah.
easy, but I think Jose Mourinho would be like a great Hostmaster with the great
Agreed.
stories.
He shows some potential about this Toastmaster, or maybe we can call it table manager that manages the table. Maybe, yeah, he had the potential. So this kind of like a sponsoring the AFA gives us a lot of chance to share this passion of football in a really closure moments with them itself, that create this like, let's say, the history of AFA, and not only AFA, but like with the people that are really fundamental of the football. So this is one of the proudest moments for us as well, but not only for us. We need to share these moments. Again, we are Georgians. We don't need it for ourselves. We need to share this, and we need to like make exceptional moments for our partners that have trust and faith in us as a company. So to remind them that we respect and we appreciate that they are trusting during all these years, and during the tough times maybe, or the easy times. So we always trying to show that we are really thankful about it with this kind of gestures.
Yes, respecting the history and innovating the future. I think that is one good way to go with that. So I think that we have a tradition on this podcast, and this tradition was built like on the previous one. So this is not that much tradition, but it is going to be tradition in future. So I ask all the hosts, all the guests to make a, let's say, a question, which will be answered in the next one will answer. And nobody knows who will be next one. Even I don't know who will be next one. So I will try to like ask you to do the same. So my previous guest was Maxim, really good guy from Sportradar, and he left such a big question for you, and you have to feel like a big shoes right now, because Maxim's question is that what will you do next year that will change the industry? So what will be the thing that you will try to do to change the industry in next year?
That's really like a tricky question, because depends on how do you want to change the industry itself, right? Because like personally us, like I believe we can do a lot of things, because we did it, for example, in past. We changed the industry in terms of creating whole different category that is a must for the casinos, for the online operators. But doing that is, I think that I don't have like a specific answer to that question, but I can tell and I can observe that do we really want to change the industry to, or do we we need to improve and refine what we have currently, because there is a lot of going on in this industry, lots of regulations, lots of new direction of the games that at some point lacks of quality because how much we produce in common in the industry. So my answer easily could be that we will do everything not just to change the industry, but to improve the industry.
Mm-hmm.
If it counts as an answer.
I think that I have to ask Maxim about it in the next time when he visits, but let's count this as an answer. But at the same time, Miranda, you have to leave a question for the next guest. So,
Yeah.
and try to be like, my personal option is that like, let's not go that big, like let's do something like a medium one at least.
Yeah. So it's not that easy. Maxim was super tricky about this question, but I'm going to speak with the experience of the game provider, because we see as a game providers there is a lot of like new trends coming. For example, now I don't know if you know or checked out. It's a chicken game that is really popular, and it's
The crossing game, yeah, it was made popular by one of the crypto casinos, I remember,
Exactly.
and it's too much. Like I've played it, it's fun. It's like a golf, but with different visuals and different
Yes.
mechanics, so it's fun in a way.
Yeah, exactly. There is like a trend, and all these kind of big crypto casinos make it even more demanding, for example. So I have a really easy question, and I think it does not have like a really specific answer. I will be more like intrigued or interested in really a individual answer or what the individuals are thinking. For example, even people that are listening to us, not just the next podcaster, is that what could be the next big trend, as it was, for example, it was a plane crash game that everyone did, or now that this chicken, or there was like a hamster combat that was booming, and then
Yeah, also, as I understand, so what will be the next big game mechanics, or what will be a big next game?
let's say not the game because we don't know, but
Yeah.
the mechanic and the inspiration, because we've seen a lot of trends, right? And it was trends, they died it, and not much had like a consistency. So my mind goes to what will be the next trend with the inspiration or the idea or the mechanic that will last.
Okay.
At the end, it's a little bit.
It's little bit it's more on the big side rather than medium, but let's leave it like that, because personally I've seen too many games and too many mechanics been there, but died too much, and it will be interesting what will be the next and what will be the next trend. Not just a trend.
Which mechanic has its potential, like to
Okay.
show off, because I love to heard about it, because a lot of people in this industry have really good expertise in terms of predicting the trends or having the idea about it. So I would love to hear about it.
Okay. So I think the next guest will have to do his or her own research about it. So leave it like that. Thank you, Miranda. Thanks for everybody listening to us, me and Miranda. Miranda was a great guest. So you've been listening to iGaming Accent by SBC Eurasia, hosted by me, Vakho. And also, I want to remind you that you don't not to forget to follow us and subscribe to us on your favorite platform from wherever you are tuning in. And see you next time in 2 weeks.
Thank you.